Morning.
Hey, Pastor. What a privilege to be with you today.
My wife is sending me pictures of Melania Trump. And then that's
Oh,
what
what-
she wants. She wants another one of these.
Your wife wants another dog?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Do you think so? She just wants it, and you don't think there's anything you're gonna be able to do about it? She's just gonna get it.
I imagine if I just put my foot down, she would pay it no attention. No, she wouldn't do it if I really, but I can't just tell her, no, you cannot do that.
Well, the problem is if you put your foot down in the wrong place, you'll crush one of the dogs
Well,
because they're all over the place.
are we on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh. Or
We
put
can
my
start-
foot in something.
Yeah. No, you don't want to do that.
That's all I've had out of those crazy dogs for the last 2 weeks.
Was it like she got home and you were
Gosh.
and
I took the dogs in the car out to the airport.
just left
Now,
them there?
those dogs did not bark. They screamed. You could hear them screaming.
When they saw her?
Yes. I mean, screaming. And there is a difference, and dogs can scream, and those dogs were screaming.
You've got this look in your eye, wait, was there any like Stockholm syndrome? Did you begin to love the dogs after
No,
the 2
I
weeks?
did not. I did not. People say, oh, you're just saying that. I really was fed up with them.
Did you give
That's what she's looking at now.
So Miss Debbie, is that Melania's dog? Is that the problem?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whose dog it is,
Oh,
but it's
all right.
a chocolate. I don't know what color it is. It's chocolate and black, I think, with a little bit of white. And she was yesterday, wouldn't you like to have another one? I said, no, I don't want these two we got.
Does she treat them like her kids? Is that just kind
Oh, like her babies.
Like her, okay.
Like her
Because she
babies.
doesn't, but she's got grandkids right down the street. We need to have her.
Well, she treats them like that too.
I want to have you guys both in here, and I'm just going to stand back, and I'm just going to let y'all do the podcast at one of these. Miss Debbie, does she ever watch this? She probably
yeah,
doesn't.
she
care.
watches it.
Miss Debbie,
Yeah. I don't know if she's watching right now, but she'll watch it sometime
This is your
today.
invitation. This is your you can come in here and defend yourself. This man has disparaged your beloved dogs for
Yeah,
months.
I have the dogs now. I
And-
will say that. I've not disparaged her.
No,
but,
you see,
but
he has
those-
never disparaged. Well, it depends on your
Well,
feelings on
yeah,
the transitive
yeah.
property of disparagement,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So she got home. You probably just handed her all the dogs and then just said, "I'm out."
Well, they
We go
were in
for
the
a long
car,
walk."
and so she got in the car, and they're screaming their heads off, and of course
This was Saturday
they
afternoon.
were jumping all over her and all the way home. Yeah, and of course she's just hugging on them and
But you slept better though.
hugging on them more than she was me. Well,
You're sleeping better now because they're not under your
Yeah, absolutely.
feet while you're in the bed.
Absolutely. She got them over there on her side of the bed.
That's what I'm talking about. So you feeling
And
okay?
Yeah, I feel good.
Okay, good.
I'm a little tired. I left here at 3 o'clock yesterday and drove to Booneville, Mississippi.
Oh, were you preaching?
And I preached there last night.
Oh, okay.
And I drove back and got home about 10:30.
Oh, that's late.
It was a 2.5 hour drive.
That's late for you.
It was, yeah,
Going out
it
there.
is. Generally, I'm awake
Yeah.
about that time, but anyway.
That's nice.
It was cold in Mississippi.
Yes. Well,
Cold.
it's cold everywhere. It's
It
cold.
is. It's even a little chilly in here.
I kept putting on extra layers today, just kept putting more and more stuff on. And I inadvertently wore my red, white, and blue. So I'm going to say that this is for the inauguration today.
Yeah.
God bless America.
That's why Debbie came in and worked yesterday afternoon so she could stay home and watch it today.
Another peaceful transition of power.
Yeah.
Lord
We'll see.
willing.
We were watching it.
Lord
Lord
willing.
right?
Yes,
Are
right.
we?
We're going to watch. Joanne is joking around. We're not watching the inauguration
thought
in the
about
office
that.
today.
Oh gosh.
No, I'll just hear all about it later, I'm sure. Well, I had
Well,
to,
I'm getting pictures now of, oh, look at Melania.
I had to put my phone on Do Not Disturb last night because people kept texting me about the Ravens game. It was so painful.
I didn't get to see any of
No,
that.
it was
Did they
painful.
win or not?
No, they didn't win. That's right. You were out speaking.
Yeah. I'm
I
out doing
just
the Lord's
went-
word. So.
I said, Lauren, give me the baby, and I just held the baby, and I went and worked in the kitchen and I was taking out the garbage. I couldn't watch it. It was too painful watching
That's the
them
way
lose.
I got with the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's
I
just
just
too
thought
painful.
it's just ridiculous. Anyway,
So, but I say this without any irony at all, that it makes me that much more excited to watch a little bit of football next weekend because I'll be able to watch it without my heart palpitating at all.
hey,
right?
isn't the championship tonight?
Yeah, the national championship.
Oh,
National
that's
champ-
right. The Natty is
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
Wow. People are saying
but
Ohio
Notre
State's
Dame
gonna
and
roll
Ohio
them.
State.
People think Ohio State's just going to roll them.
Well, I hope. I have never pulled for Notre Dame before, but I did pull for them in this last game, and I will pull for them tonight.
Okay. You're not going to say any rosaries for them, though.
No, I
Yeah.
don't know the rosary.
Me neither.
Well, yes.
You kinda know.
Well, you know.
By proxy.
No, I won't be doing that. I do hope they win, though. They have got a really impressive coach, Notre
yeah.
Dame.
Yeah, people really like that guy.
That guy, he's really an impressive guy.
All right, so we got.
And I have never cared for Ohio State.
Yeah, they could be polarizing.
Although we did, when I was in Jacksonville, we did start a church up there on the east side of the campus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and sent two really good, sharp staff members and their families up there to start all of that.
Is it still going?
I think so.
That's cool.
I heard from one of the guys that used to be on staff, wonderful guy, Kevin King. He's a great guy. He was a great staff member, wonderful family. He went up there. He got saved, or he answered the call later in life
Yeah.
to ministry. Was a very great staff person with us and felt called to go up there. Now he's retired, and he's in Georgia now. And he wrote me the other week, sent me a really nice note here just to anybody, and you must have gotten it and sent it on to me. It was so good to hear from him. But he was one of the two families that went up there. So
Wow.
I don't know, I should have asked him, how's the church doing up there? So,
I wonder if the attendance goes up or down depending on whether Ohio State's good.
well, it goes up and down here depending on what Alabama does.
I'm not saying it. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what people stay home
It's
after the.
fun. People think you're joking. It really does.
It really does. Oh yeah. That's really
Depending on
true.
what
And
Alabama
if
does.
it's a road game, it affects things. That's just how
If
it
they
works.
lose, Alabama fans rarely will show up to church.
Well, I tell you though, there's some people. That even if
Others
they-
come and
Some of the
repent.
most faithful people at the church, if Alabama loses, they're still wearing their Alabama polo
they do.
to church
They
the
do.
next day. They're like, win or lose, I ride with them. I'm like,
That's true.
I'm proud
That's
of you.
true.
Proud of you.
That's true.
And then the Auburn people just wear their stuff year round because they're always losing, so it doesn't really matter.
Clemson fans, they just don't even go to church. So, I'm pleased don't send me anything.
'cause you're a pastor in
I
Alabama.
am
There's
a great
not as
Clemson
many-
fan, so
there's
don't
not-
even say anything about that. Please don't write me. Because I got so many people I grew up with back home that's like, Matt Brunson, you know better than that.
Oh no, they love it. They love hearing that from you.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, so you talked about answering the call, and either early or late in life. We had a baptism yesterday, and I just wanted to say that I'm really excited about the people that are.
Being
Answer-
baptized. I've
yeah.
got a 90-year-old lady that I'm going to baptize.
Tell me about
Is
that.
it-
Everybody's wondering about that.
It's the 19th, I think.
Well,
I
the
think it's the
19th was yesterday.
Oh, well, did I baptize her? I don't even remember.
That's very Paulian of you. I don't even remember
It
those
was-
who I baptized.
I've got one. It's coming up.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm sure it's.
in
I'm
the
sure
next Sunday or two.
I'm going to talk to Dawn about it.
She
She's
came
scheduled for
down. Her
baptism.
son is a member here. Great guy.
Yeah.
Retired. They used to be down at Ted Traylor's church, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
moved here. And in fact, he's working on a PhD in, it may be Roman history. I can't remember, but he's working on a PhD.
That's cool.
And great guy. And then his sister and brother-in-law joined, and his mother came down with them. And she's never been baptized, and so we're gonna baptize her.
How about that? So, well, I'm excited about it. Well,
Yeah, I
it
am
would be cool
too.
to tell that story.
I am
That's a big, I mean, I guess, I just see that's such a step of humility for people. Like, especially if they're strong believers, but they're coming from a different
Yeah, yeah,
denomination.
yeah. Just
know.
like JJ yesterday,
Right, yeah.
So, and she came under conviction in the ladies' Bible study that she needed to be baptized. And so you're right, and it's a great word to everybody out there. I'm just, and I have to be honest, I am so disappointed we did not hit 100 baptisms this past year. I wanted to hit it so badly the last couple of years. I think if we ever hit it, I'm just going to give up the ghost and go on.
Yes.
So,
preach your own funeral.
But
climb into the casket.
yeah, I'll preach it. I'll put it on tape before I go.
Yeah.
That would be wild, wouldn't it? To do your own funeral.
I'm sure
I am
people
sure-
have
I bet
done
you
that.
somebody's
done
done
that for sure. They're just
You see all these murder mysteries. Well, if you're watching this, it means,
Means I'm
somebody,
gone. That's
you know,
right.
my husband has killed me, and I'm leaving everything to
You-
you
you
children,
went- you
and
went
I want
right there.
somebody to go and
You can't go right there after all the dog talk.
yeah, no.
So I think that you should try to do that, though. Why not? You got Jared right here. You can just, right after this is over, record your own funeral message.
Let another praise you and not your own lips.
Fair
So,
enough. Well, but a prophet is without honor in his hometown.
He
Well,
sure is.
Well, this isn't your hometown, though.
No,
so.
no.
How long do you have to live in a place before you can call it?
This
Your
is home to
hometown.
me. This was home to me the day we moved in.
Well, I wanted to talk about that because you
I-
said that in your message.
It was home to me the day we moved here. It's been a long time since I felt that way, long time. But the day we moved in, I felt like I fit here. These are,
You
I
s-
don't know, but having gone through all that I'd gone through and everything,
Yeah.
I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I was. I remember we moved in that little apartment because we were gutting and renovating that house,
Right.
which took a year. It's not like 30 minutes on television. So,
Did it really take that long?
yeah, it took
Wow.
a year. It sure did. I think I could have built the house faster than that. But anyway, I remember walking with Debbie. We got everything moved in, and we were walking out. That's the walkingest one woman I've ever seen.
The walkingest woman.
And so we were walking. I said, you know what? I feel like I'm home. Now, it took her a little while
Yeah.
longer.
Well, because she left the grandbabies in
Yeah,
Jacksonville.
she left 10 of them there.
Yeah.
Which she did Saturday.
Yeah.
But she was glad to be home. I told her, I said, after 2 weeks with them, I said, you'll be glad to be home. I'm promising you that.
That's how she felt.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you were really serious about that in the message. Like you said, I think you said that the church saved your life. You being
I
here.
felt like, I do. I feel like that. It was the most unusual time of my life. It was the most unusual time of my ministry. And I'd have to say Valleydale just saved my life in ministry. Yeah, I
It's-
would say that, honestly. That's why I'm so deeply, I am very deeply in love with the place, and I am deeply committed to the place. And this has been, the folks here have been so incredibly good to us. Just kind, easy,
a
just
lot
the
of kind
easiest
people.
people to live, to
wonderful
lead.
group of people.
Last night, Greg Graves wrote to me. He said, hey, I want to go with you sometime when you're preaching
Oh,
off
cool.
like this. So he went with me last
Oh,
night.
neat. That's great.
And we rode up to Boonville. I never heard of Boonville, Mississippi.
Me neither.
It's north of Tupelo and
Oh, okay.
south of Corinth.
Well, there you go.
So
That'll
you've got
really
a
confuse
battlefield on one end and birthplace of Elvis on the other.
Corinth, Mississippi is.
Battlefield. Great Civil War battle took place in Corinth.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to make a Bible joke there.
No. There was a big battle that took place at Corinth.
How about that, Boonville? So you got to hang with Greg. That's fun.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
He is a good guy, really good guy. He's an engineer. He thinks methodically,
He mentored me a lot when I first got here.
He's a good guy.
Before you were a twinkle in any of our eye.
Yeah.
He would take me to lunch and
Good.
tell me all the things I was doing.
He
wrong.
and Angie really love young couples.
Yeah, they do a really good
They
job.
do.
with
They
that.
really do. Yeah.
It's been cool.
He's very invested into Josh's ministry.
Yeah. The young adults are
Yeah.
at the Graves house almost at least
Wednesday,
every
yeah,
month.
yeah.
If not more
Yeah.
often.
About every Wednesday night or so. Yeah.
So it was a good day yesterday.
It was a good
I know
day.
that the
I
congregation.
tell you, when y'all sang "Crown Him with Many
Oh,
Crowns,"
yeah.
that was just a glorious moment, and I'm glad I got
Praise
to
the Lord.
relive it the second time. And then, the invitation hymn, it just flooded me with a lot of emotion yesterday. Those two hymns just, Of course, that's what I grew up singing.
Sure.
And it was just, I thought the choir sounded so good yesterday, and the trumpets and the
It's good having the choir back.
trombones and all of that. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I tell you, we talk about it in the creative department all the time, just thinking through, like, obviously the Lord says sing a new song, and we do a lot of new music, but there are some of those you just can't let those go. Too part of the tradition of the church, too helpful theologically,
Yeah, that
So-
was just a moving, for me, that when we did that, Crown Him with Many Crowns,
Yeah.
it was just moving for me.
Praise the Lord. Well, that's one of our big goals. We want to make sure that the pastor's led in worship so that he
Yeah.
steps into the pulpit ready to
It
go.
helps.
One thing I've noticed, just as long as we're talking music, I was talking to my wife about this yesterday. It is just amazing how in the songs that we sing, how often the end times and the second coming comes up. It has been happening a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we need
Well,
to,
that's the real hope of the Christian life.
Yeah.
And I don't think our generation looks at it enough. And the fascinating thing to me is that Paul wrote an incredibly doctrinally messed up church at Thessalonica.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
And a church that was really grieving because they had misunderstood the doctrine of eschatology.
Yes.
And the church was kind of in somewhat of a turmoil. They were in each other's business because he says, go find a job, go get something, do something, work, and tend to your own business and leave everybody else alone.
Because they were too invested thinking that the second coming was too imminent. Was that
Well,
the
they
problem?
believed they had misconstrued the idea that unless Christ came while you're living, you didn't have any hope. If you died before Christ came,
Oh, I
they
see.
thought you
I
were just
see.
gone,
I see.
for eternity. And Paul writes them back, and in every chapter he speaks of the second coming.
Right.
And he encourages them. In fact, he uses the word 7 times. In chapter 3, 4,
Encouragement.
and 5 is encouragement.
Yeah.
7 times he uses the same word, to be encouraged, to be encouraged. So when Paul wanted to encourage the church, he pointed them toward the second coming. And I think we've lost something in that. I really do.
Do you think that has anything to do with like how it's also been lost, like people weeping and mourning in church? Do you think
I
there's
think
something
so.
there?
I think so. I think our culture in Baptist life has gotten to where we consider ourselves so sophisticated, so, culturally integrated and so proper that we can't do church the way we did it 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Is there an element there of people are so comfortable here that there's not as much looking forward to the next life? That's what I wonder.
I think that's true too. And I think that becomes part of judgment, is where you just slough it all off. I was reading a passage out of Jeremiah this morning
Yeah.
that really related to Israel. If I can go back and find that really related to Israel and the coming Babylonian captivity.
Oh, wow.
That
Okay.
Babylon was coming. They were coming with the sword. Where in the world was I reading that?
Wow.
And God sends word. No, it's 30 something. Anyway, God sends word to them and says, "Listen, the sword of Babylon is coming. You're going to be, all this stuff." And then he tells Jeremiah, "But I'm going to bring them back. And they're going to come back. And I'm going to invest them in the land. I'm going to plant them in the land. I'm going to give them the land. And it's going to be theirs. And they're never going to be turned out." And he's looking toward, I think, our day, toward the restoration of the nation of Israel. And it's a great passage. In fact, I thought about opening the sermon Sunday with that as I move into chapter 46 to talk about God's eternal promise to Israel. And he's bringing them to Egypt in order to multiply them, keep them safe, keep them fed, grow them. They will grow exponentially. In fact, that's one of the great debates in the Old Testament, is that when they came out, how many did they have? And of course, more moderate to liberal theologians say, well, they didn't have but X number of people. I believe they had close to 2.5 to 3 million when they
In
came
captivity?
when they came out of Egypt.
Oh, okay.
And that's 400 years after they get there, you know. So I think he just blesses them with a birth rate that was unnatural. I think he blesses them with all of this livestock and everything like that.
Yeah.
And they come out of the land of Goshen, they come out of Egypt under Moses, a really numerous people for that day and time.
Yeah.
And it has to do, chapter 46, I'm not there, I've been looking at it early this morning, really deals with family. You're going to get into this genealogy here.
I think it's fascinating stuff.
And so everybody will go into chapter 46 thinking, oh, Lord, save us from the genealogy. But I'm going to kind of look at that because this deals now with family. You know, 44 was a test, 45 was relationship, 46 and into 47 is going to be family.
I really appreciated yesterday what you did to make it just so real. Thinking about, well, what is it like if 12 brothers are hanging out? Well, of course, there's going to be times where you laugh and you cut up, and there's going to be serious times. And then, what does it look like when you have to address past hurt, and past struggles, past sin?
I think there was a little bit of every kind of emotion imaginable, sitting around just talking like they had never done before. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
They had never, ever done this. I had, I so enjoyed and loved both of my sisters, and just being around them and talking to them and reliving things. It got to be with of course, my oldest sister, her mind was just gone by the time I even moved here. And my other sister, we'd get on the phone and we would just reminisce so much about grandparents and about parents and about home life and this and that and the other. And I miss that. I miss it terribly.
Well, because
so I could never imagine Joseph never having that opportunity that I've had, but he gets it right there in verse 15 of chapter 45.
How weirded out do you think the Egyptians were that were watching this?
It probably wigged them out. It probably really did. Because number one, you would not cry in public like he had done.
Right.
Number two, you would not be next to a Hebrew. You would not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure it had to do somewhat with the fact that they were Hebrews, but it also had to do a lot with the fact that these people kept sheep, and the Egyptians, that was just detestable
Anathema.
to them. Yeah, it was a very grungy job, and they didn't. That's why they lived over. They were glad to have them over in Goshen because they didn't want anything to do with the animals, the sheep, that kind of thing. Keep them over there.
I thought that it was so interesting that Goshen means draw near.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard that before.
Man, I heard, since I was a kid, I can remember people saying, land of Goshen. You know, that was just an expression country folks would use, I guess. Land of Goshen.
I've got a stump the pastor question for you that we got. I was talking with Brad Culverhouse after the second service, and I've got a thought about it, but I want to hear what you have to say. 45:3, when Joseph reveals himself, I'm Joseph, is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer, for they were greatly dismayed at his presence.
The word dismayed is terrified.
Right.
They were terrified.
Right. I had it pulled up here. Nivhalu is the Hebrew.
There you go. Nifhalu.
There you go. So yeah, terrified. So the question was, well, why would they be terrified seeing Joseph? Why wouldn't they be excited that they're being reunited with their
Well,
brother?
because they thought they'd sold him well, they did sell him into slavery, and they thought by now, surely the Egyptians would have killed him, or he would have died of hardship or whatever. So it'd be like, you stepping out and around the corner, and there's your great-granddaddy standing
It's like
there.
they're seeing a ghost.
Yeah,
that
it's
kind
like,
of thing.
yeah. These things that I hate to go back to this thing again, these things that they put on there of where people are, they're going through this, and you got this real spooky, music and
The reels in the
everything, and they're looking
cemeteries,
in there,
yeah.
and all of a sudden something just jumps out and screams. There you go, right there.
So I didn't even think about that angle. I'm glad that I brought this up. It's kind of seeing a ghost. I thought it was because they see him, they're immediately confronted with their sin, and they realize he has the power to just kill him if he wants to.
Yeah, I think all of that plays into
All of
it.
it's just in.
Yeah,
and-
they realize that, after the shock, that as they begin to think, well, my gosh, what's he going to do? He's in a position where he could just chop all our heads
absolute
off.
power, yeah.
Or hang us like they hanged the baker,
That's true. That's
Yeah, like they hanged the
Hanged.
baker.
They hanged him. Yeah. So they did dismay at his presence, and then I guess I think honestly, if I had been one of the brothers, even during the weeping and the talking and all of this, it would have taken me a long time to get to a point where I actually felt like, okay, this is for real. We're actually going to reconcile.
Yeah.
It would just been hard for me to believe.
Well, what he comes down and does from verse 19 really down through verse 24 gives you the depth of the grace that
Yeah.
Joseph extended
Oh, I see
to
this
them.
now. Yeah.
Just that tremendous, go bring your little ones here. Don't bring anything. Don't bring your stuff. And I made a lot to do out of that because I think a lot of us drag our past into our Christianity. We've got this sack of failures and guilt and issues that have been so much a part of our lives, and we just drag it in. We're following Christ, but I'm dragging this junk behind me.
Well,
I can't get over, I can't forgive, I can't get beyond, I can't get past, and I just drag that stuff in. And it's not that we're not Christian, it's not that we're not saved, it's that we live such a subpar Christian life because we won't let that junk go.
Well, and the other side to that coin is there's people that try to drag their own merit and the good things.
Oh,
they've
yeah,
done.
yeah. Well, they're pushing that out in front of them.
Right.
We're dragging that. The others, they load that up in a wheelbarrow and push that out in front of them and say, see, look at my
Well,
stuff.
and they don't realize that the resources, the things, the stuff, spiritual things, are greater in Christ than anything
sure.
you could have earned for yourself. Yeah.
That's
interesting.
that's a way, I think as you grow older, at least it has been for me. I've had a lot of accomplishments. I've had a lot of neat things come my way. And that's all well and nice. But it hadn't made that big of a difference to me. I mean,
That's not what gives you
the
true
things,
joy.
no, it's not at all. My home, my family, my church family, the staff family, all that gives me joy. To be at a place in life where God's brought me is a place of great grace.
And all of that.
And that's kind of what I guess I lapsed into yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm in such a place of great grace that I feel as if these are the greatest days of my life. Not the days that I went to first this and first that and was president of the North Carolina Convention and, these kind of things. But these days right now are just days of great grace for me.
Amen. I think
And that's the depth you see of His grace right here. I
Yeah.
love this so much where He says, don't bring that junk. Now listen.
because he
to
has
chapter-
better things to give them.
Yeah, listen to this. So
46.
Israel, that's Jacob, set out with all that he had.
So he didn't listen to him.
Didn't listen to him. Drug all that junk he had down there into Egypt. And there's Joseph saying, you know,
Everything we have is better.
listen, I've got you a house down here.
Yeah.
Because they built houses down there.
Right.
In fact, some of those things are still, you see the foundation of them in Egypt. Because nothing, you know, outside of just the wind and the sand blowing against it, they don't,
Doesn't rain.
it still stands. It's preserved in all that sand. So they had homes down there. They had houses down there. They didn't need tents. And that's what, but that's the first thing I'm going to point out. Sunday morning, here he comes, and he's dragging all his junk with him. You know,
looking forward to it.
And it's really good to be able to leave that stuff behind, to drop that stuff and just move on, you know, go on with life.
Well, accept the grace that the Lord has given you. You
Yeah,
know, stop
yeah,
trying to provide for yourself.
Yeah.
And accept the provision that the Lord has given you.
Yeah, and you get on down here and it talks about it even again, about all the stuff that they brought. It's just really kind of funny.
So silly.
Don't bring it. So what are we going to do? We're going to bring it.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. You want to tell people if you saw anything weird on the reels this week? People went gaga over your reel discussion last week. Everybody loves the AI stuff.
That was a funny
Did
thing.
you watch that?
Yeah, I
where
did.
they made you play chess with an orangutan?
With that monkey hanging
That
over
was
me.
pretty.
I feel like that all the time. I've got some monkey hanging on my back all the time.
I meant to apologize to you about that.
I didn't see anything. I still get those weird things of people walking through cemeteries with these voice box deals.
Yeah, that's
And they, you know, this is the dead talking to them. Well, my God. And they're talking back to the dead.
I wonder if the dogs are actually demon possessed and they're
I don't know.
actually
I
talking
want to
to
know
you.
how do the dogs
I don't want to see
talk?
an
How
AI
do
of
they
that,
get
by
the
way. I
dogs
do
to
not
talk?
want to see that.
How do they get the dogs to talk?
In what?
In
the
these
movies?
reels, yeah. And no, in these reels. How do they
That's
get
a
the
movie. What are you talking about?
Can I pet that doggy? Have y'all have got to see that.
That's the one
Can
with
I
the bear.
pet that doggy? That little old girl out
We're
there,
just
she
gonna
thinks
have
that
to
bear's
just
a
splice
dog.
that in, Jared. Just splice. It's the
Have you
second
seen
week
it,
in a
Jared?
row he's mentioned it.
I'll look it up.
He's
Oh,
gonna
she
find
is
it.
so country, it's not even funny.
Somebody online said you nailed her, the impression of her.
Yeah. Can I
Oh,
pet
he
that
knows.
doggy?
He knows her. He's lived in that.
I mean, she's just as country as she can be. I guess that's why I love it. And the bear comes up, and she thinks it's a dog. Can I? Can I? Can I pet that dog?
So you're doing okay, even though TikTok shut down. Then
Is that TikTok? Yeah. Can I pet that dog? Look at it. Get I love it. I just love it.
TikTok is back. TikTok
Is that TikTok?
TikTok shut down for 14 hours, but it's back.
Yeah.
It's back now?
Trump saved us, don't worry.
Trump brought
What's
it back.
the difference between Reels and TikTok?
Because Trump. Oh, so Trump's now part of the CCP.
It's a different company.
So
Well, that's
Trump,
what I kinda
Trump's in
thought.
bed with the Chinese. Before it was the Russians. Now it's the Chinese.
Well, all I've got are Reels. I don't have TikTok.
Yeah, you've got Facebook.
Yes,
you're
yeah,
in good.
yeah.
You're in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. You know, I don't know if it's Chinese or the Russians controlling Facebook, but I think either way,
Well,
you're fine out
They're
there.
not getting a whole lot of information.
I
out
want
there.
the. I'm gonna find
dead people.
which social media
That is so dumb.
outlet is controlled by the Germans. That's the one we want. Let's find
I
that.
don't know.
one.
That's a good
You
question.
know, you're studying.
It's nonsense.
More
you
the
They don't have time for that kind of
They don't have time. They're doing more important things. There's no social media outlet controlled by the British right now. They're just like they're just censoring everything.
they're trying to deal with their prime minister over there.
Oh yeah, they got some bad stuff going on over there. That's
Yeah.
rough. Poor guys. Shouldn't have brought that up.
No, they should have left well enough alone instead of having another election. But anyway, that's the British. Who cares?
Yeah, Indeed, right? We've moved
We,
on.
we put them out of this country twice. So
That's one of my favorite memes. Is every year on July 3rd, they post the picture of George Washington with his sword. Enjoy work tomorrow, England. While we take
love
off
that
to
too.
celebrate how we beat y'all's tail
I love that.
250 years ago.
You know, there is a George III got up the morning of July the 4th, or went to bed the night of July the 4th, and wrote in his diary, nothing much happened today.
Yeah, right. The day they signed the
The day
Declaration
that
of
they,
Independence.
yeah.
He didn't know yet.
Nope.
It wasn't on Twitter. I mean,
It'd
X.
take a little while to get to him, but anyway, I think that's interesting. Boy, history is more fascinating than fiction.
It really is. Stranger than fiction.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let's get on with our workday and make a little bit more history. See you guys on the other side. Say
No,
goodbye.
on the other side, the other side of the camera, not the other side of life. Well,
was-
we'll see you there too.
I was going to say on the other side of the presidential
Yeah.
inauguration.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see you guys there. Say goodbye, Pastor.
Goodbye, Pastor.
But honestly, that closing might be your reel. Just show them on the other side of all those things. That you said. The bright light and see Kirkwood and Mag.
On the other side, yeah.